Hey guys, this is Captain Eric,
Captain Derek.
and welcome to the Crypto Starship. Today is supposed to be April 30th podcast, but it's 1 a.m., May 1st. I'm up for my birthday with Derek, getting ready to jump on the Crypto Starship with you. How is everyone doing?
Good, good. Happy birthday.
Thanks, man. Thanks. It's the most important birthday of your entire life. It's 29. It means you're not 30 yet. So, really, really important that I celebrate it just the way we are today.
By jumping on the podcast or the
Jumping
YouTube
on
video.
the on the crypto starship and talking
All
about
right.
more hacks and more issues when it comes to losing your cryptocurrency, which seems to be a daily conversation now. Something
Yep.
that regularly happens, whether it be an exchange, whether it be a DNS attack, as in what just happened this past week, or any other great hack. My favorite being your ledger stolen in the airport. Um,
Did that actually happen?
Probably to somebody, but it hasn't been reported yet. I mean, we literally have been talking about security on this podcast since like episode 3, and we've reported on multiple things since then, including Ian Bellina's hack, including the Japanese exchange hacks, and it feels like every single week we have something coming to fruition around people losing their cryptocurrency. And this is becoming, I believe, I mean, it has always been a big problem, but it's still a major talking point for full adoption of cryptos. How are you able to move away from a centralized system when people can lose their money in a matter of accidentally going to the wrong website, or if they use a public DNS server like Google's, just going to a compromise MyEtherWallet.com and losing their Ethereum.
So let's back up and just introduce everyone to exactly what happened this week, and then we can go into a little bit more detail about what exactly happened and how it's similar or
Exactly.
different to other past hacks. So this last week, I think on Friday, about 4 or 5 days ago, my Ether wallet, which is the largest wallet in the crypto ecosystem, got hacked, which has never happened before, not to my knowledge anyway. And the way, and essentially, about 200 people had money stolen out of their MyEtherWallet accounts. I think it was about $300,000 worth of cryptocurrency. And yeah, it kind of caused quite a stir in the crypto ecosystem to have, something that's quite a central player get broken in like that.
Yeah, I mean, it lasted for about 30 minutes, but still, the amount of people that log into MyEtherWallet at that time period um, ended up being 300K worth of Ethereum almost instantaneously to these hackers. And what's interesting, it only affected certain people, and we'll get into the details of that. But it is something you have to start being very aware of when you go to websites, because this could happen to anyone at any point on any site. And there's some pretty easy ways to tell whether it's happening or not, by just paying attention to when you log into something. And there's very clear telltale signs. But still, since this is like the first time it's happened in the crypto sphere, I don't think a lot of people are used to it. But now, hopefully, the word is getting out about what happened, how it happened, and people can adjust their behaviors accordingly to make sure that it doesn't happen to them.
Yeah. So in this case, I think the most obvious tell was they didn't have an SSL certificate. So when you landed on the website, you would have to click. Chrome actually gave you a warning saying, "Hey, people might be trying to steal your information. Do not continue." And then people had to click advanced and then continue in order to actually access the hacked My Ether wallet site.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, it's pretty stupid to do that, to click it's okay for me to access a unsecured My Ether wallet.
Yep.
On the other hand, it is a very trusted brand and people feel like they could trust the security, and evidently in this particular case they were wrong.
Yeah, they were. I mean, at this point in time, if I break it down for you in a very technical sense, what happened is the hackers that did this were able to compromise Google's public DNS servers. And for those that don't know what that is, basically, when you type in google.com, you're going through a DNS server on your computer. You can change your DNS server on your computer, on your phone, to different DNSs, whether it be the internet service provider that you have DNS, whether it be Google's public DNS, which is the one that was hacked for MyEtherWallet, or the one that a lot of people are starting to use, which is Cloudflare's new, more private DNS server 1.1.1.1, to get to these different sites. So whether if you're on Cloudflare's DNS server, this would not have happened to you. If you were on your IPS DNS server, this would not have happened to you. But if you're running on Google's DNS server, which if you use like Google Wi-Fi's routers, they automatically push you to those directly. Or I believe even like at Starbucks, they use 1.1.1.1. I mean, not one dot. They use 8.8.8.8, which is Google's, which is look up. I would really recommend looking up changing your DNS servers on your computer, whether it be Mac, PC, or your phone, because this is a great way to make sure that you're protected. If you see something like this come up, if you see no SSL, you can change for free your DNS servers and reconnect, and most likely one of them won't be compromised. So the way
let me just jump in for a second. For people who aren't familiar with what a DNS server is, I just want to explain that before going deeper into how this hack worked. So what a DNS server is if you imagine that every computer on the internet has an address, which is called the IP address, the www.something.coms, the domain names, say like facebook.coms, is actually a shorthand for those IP addresses that actually hosts the files that you're accessing when you access a web page. So one analogy for this is, imagine if there's an address for a restaurant. Let's say the Thai Satay restaurant in San Francisco is located at 133 Grand Street, San Francisco 94402, right? So that's the long form of the address. But since there's only one Thai Satay, you can just type in Thai Satay in Google Maps and it knows exactly what to pull up, right? So it's a shortcut. It's a easier to understand shortcut for a longer form type of address. And a DNS is very similar to that, where when you type in www.facebook.com, this referencing system essentially maps out all the computers on the internet and then knows that facebook.com corresponds to 172.112.33.85 or something, whatever the IP address is. So it's a mapping system that allows you to access different servers all over the world without necessarily knowing what the internet, the IP address is, just by knowing the domain name. So just wanted to interject that back to you, Eric.
Yeah, and there's another layer to that, which is when you go from your computer to, let's say, facebook.com, you're hitting a specific DNS server, like I said, an IPS server like Comcast, for example, or Google Fiber. Or if you use Google's public DNS, you'll go through that DNS server or Cloudflare, right? So each of those DNS servers point to the DNS servers of the server itself. So Facebook has multiple servers. It points you to that. MyEtherWallet runs on a server that your Google DNS that you run through will push you to. And same for all the other DNSs. But each of those individual high-level DNSs that these services run have resolutions to those individual servers. So when the hackers actually got access to change where Google pointed to MyEtherWallet, to change the server that Google pointed to specifically. So that's why the individuals that were running Google actually ended up getting pointed to the hacker servers instead of MyEtherWallet servers. And those hacker servers did not have the SSL certificate that MyEtherWallet usually has, which is why Google Chrome triggered all of those warnings and told you, hey, there's no SSL certificate. All the data you're typing into this website can be recorded in plain text, so people can keep your private wallet keys when you log in. So that's how the actual hackers were able to get access to those keys and immediately transfer the Ether on those wallets to their specific Ether wallets themselves. And there's actually a TX trail that you can go through on EtherScan that shows you all the hacked address and everything that was pushed to it for those 30 minutes before MyEtherWallet was able to resolve the DNS issue. I think it only took about 30 minutes, but people were still worried for about 24-ish hours.
Yeah. So this particular hack was done it was a very sophisticated hack. And from what I understand, the way it was done, it wasn't MyEtherWallet's fault, as in they didn't, hack into MyEtherWallet servers. They didn't compromise, they didn't get MyEtherWallet's Google DNS logins or AWS DNS logins. The thing that was actually compromised was on the DNS infrastructure side. So it was within. So I'm probably going to butcher this explanation, but different servers around the world essentially claim they are who they are. So I might say that, hey, this is a server for Facebook and this is a server for MyEtherWallet. And they were able to claim to AWS and to Google DNS that they are a legitimate MyEtherWallet server and got listed within those systems as a legitimate server when they weren't actually a legitimate server. So nothing on MyEtherWallet side actually got compromised. It was more on the actual DNS ecosystem on Amazon and Google side that was compromised. So from what I understood, it could just as easily have been PayPal or a bank that got compromised using this method. But obviously, if PayPal got compromised, all those transactions could be reversed. Whereas with MyEtherWallet, it's quite irreversible.
Yeah, it's pretty permanent. And these things, and I kind of want to put a checklist together, Derek, for the listeners. There's some very simple steps you can take to make sure this doesn't happen to you. And I think Derek called out the first very blatantly obvious one. If you go to a website that usually is secure and Google tells you it is no longer secure, do not go through Google's warning to get to it anyways and sign in as a first foundational step. 2, if Google does not give you a warning and you don't see the lock sign on Google Chrome on the top left that says basically certified is a certificate of SSL. If you don't see that, do not log in. If you're not able to get to the site at HTTPS for secure, do not log in. Those are like 3 fundamental things that you can look for very easily on any site. If those do not exist or if those things are happening, do not put your information into those sites because they can be recorded onto plain text documents that can be then used to log into your information. They are not encrypted.
Yeah. Now, I think that's a good first level of defense, but it's probably not enough because EtherDelta, which was a common decentralized exchange a few months ago, also got hacked using a DNS attack. And in that case, I believe the hackers did have an SSL certificate, so you wouldn't have gotten that warning if you were in that scenario. So it's a good red flag to pay attention to, but it's not enough to make sure this doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's a baseline to definitely look into. There's other things that obviously make sure you're always keeping up with news. Another great thing to do, once again, is make sure you're always logged into VPN. There's foundational things that you should continue to do and key warning signs that will trigger at least a sense of what's going on a regular basis. But for the most part, if they've been able to compromise the DNS and do an SSL certificate, it's the team really hasn't been paying attention at the company because that's a lot of work in order to get the hack across before anyone in the team realizes that they're offline and that people are not connecting to their server. So hopefully they don't get that sophisticated in a popular service where the security team at the company doesn't realize what's going on.
Yeah. And I think Eric and I have talked about this a lot in the past. The people who didn't get hacked at all were the people with hardware wallets, right? So the only people who got hacked in this case are the people who actually copied and pasted their private keys into the stolen or the hacked MyEtherWallet. If you had a hardware wallet, even if you went to the hacked site, they couldn't steal your money because you have to authorize every transaction on the device and you see the address again on the device. So yeah, we've said this over and over again, but if you don't have a hardware wallet and you have more than a few $1,000s in crypto, that's priority number 1.
Yep. And hardware wallets are not that expensive compared to how much you can lose. As we've talked about again before, go to cryptostarship.ai/resources for all that information, or go to our security podcast. Really, guys, you should listen to that one. It was really early on. It will help you understand what to do and how to set up your overall security for your crypto assets from day one so that you don't run into this problem. Like Derek said, if you logged into the compromised MyEtherWallet, nothing would have happened to you if you logged in with the ledger. It would have been completely fine. It's really the people that have the written down keys, probably in Evernote somewhere like Ian Bellina. And they were live streaming when they went to MyEtherWallet and they got everything hacked from them. It was specifically just those people.
Yeah. And one last thing that you can do in this particular case, if you're using MyEtherWallet and you are using private keys, it's better to use a offline copy of the service rather than going online to use it. And you can download that from GitHub, and there's instructions there on how to do that.
Yep, exactly. And make sure you put those, when you do log into a Ledger or any hardware wallet, write down your safety words. Do not put them in any digital format. Do not take a picture of them. Do not do anything that is an analog based and old school. And I also recommend separating your hard recovery words in a different safe than your ledger or wherever you put your ledger. Do not put them together, because if someone steals your ledger and they don't have the code, they won't be able to get your funds. But if they steal your words, they can get the funds by purchasing another ledger. So keep them separate. Do not put them on digital formats, and do not log into unsecure websites that Google tell you not to.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, stay safe.
We're
use protection, guys.
Use protection. I know I will be today on my birthday. And we'll make sure that we continue to travel through the crypto universe, updating you guys with everything going on. We want to get back to some upbeat episodes, but we had to keep you guys informed so that way you don't run into any issues and message us about how you lost 100,000 ETH. Well, if any of you have 100,000 ETH and you make this mistake, I have nothing to say to you. But just stay safe out there. Thank you, guys. This is Captain Eric.
Captain Derek.
And we are going to see you soon.
The Crypto Starship is a production of Starship Media LLC. The contents of the show, including our videos, podcasts, and our website, are provided for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investing, or trading advice of any kind. You shouldn't make any financial, investing, trading, or life decisions based on our show. Understand that investing or trading in digital assets has potential risks involved. Before investing, make sure to do your own due diligence and consult with a professional financial advisor.